Hi, I'm Cheryl and welcome to my sewing room. I have a really so easy project for you. Now it has a zipper on it, but I don't want you to get nervous or scared because it's got a zipper, because the style that I'm putting on or the technique I'm using is really easy. So let's take a look at this really cute little zipper pouch bag. Now you can make this any size you want, any width and any length, and it's got the same fabric on the front as it is on the back. And I love this fabric. I got this fabric at a store in St. George, Utah at Quilted Works, and the name of this fabric here is called Quilt Camp by Barbara Jones of Quilt Shop for Henry Glass. Okay, so if you're interested in this fabric, everything else I got, the lining is from Joann's in case you want to get it there. So I've got on the inside, I'm going to unzip it. Whoops. And on the inside, there's the lining. It's just a light pink fabric. And then of course, as you can see, when you look at this double stitch line here, I do it that way because it helps to keep this part of the zipper from getting caught as you're unzipping and zipping the bag back up. So again, you can make this any size. So let's go over what you need to complete this bag. Now, the size of the bag is going to be determined by the zipper that you pick. So measure the items. If you're putting one particular object in it, measure the item that you want to make sure that it fits and get a zipper close to that size. Don't get one that's shorter than the size. Get one that's slightly longer in case it's like really close. You want to be able to get your stuff in and out really easy. So pick it any size you want. For this bag, cut 2 pieces of fabric that's going to be used on the outside, front and back. Then 2 for the lining. It can be the same fabric if you want or different color. And then you're going to need 2 pieces of heavy iron-on interfacing, or you can use cotton batting if you want, but I find that it's a little more difficult to put the zipper on with the cotton batting in there. So I like real easy, so I picked the heavy iron-on interfacing. And of course, a zipper, depending on your choice, whatever you want it to be. Also, here is a zipper presser foot. You really need this. So if you don't know what your zipper presser foot looks like, look in the little bag of presser feet that came with your sewing machine, or look at your user manual to see which one is your zipper foot. It might be looking like this, like a long skinny foot, or it might look a little different. So not all zipper feet fit the same all sewing machines. Whatever you do, don't use this kind of presser foot trying to put your zipper on, because it will be a disaster. So don't do that. Make sure you have a zipper foot. Okay, now, once you cut your fabric out, here is my fabric for the outside, and here is my fabric for the interfacing. Here is my fabric for the lining, and I'm using a pink zipper. Now, how to determine how long to make this fabric? This is a 9-inch zipper, so it's 9 inches. Let me pull that back. It's 9 inches from here to here. But you have this excess fabric on each end that you're going to use in your seam allowance. And this part of the fabric at each end will add about 1 inch to 1.5 inches to the length of your zipper. So cut your fabric out the length from here to here. It will be cut off later, so you're going to cut it, measure from here all the way down to here. That's the width. Then whatever depth you want, then cut it that depth. So your width and length. Now take your fabric for the outside of the bag. This is mine. Bring it back side is up. You're looking at the back of it. Here's my heavy iron-on interfacing. It's cut the same size. The shiny side is the glue side. So you're going to take that shiny side and bring it glue side down on top on the back side of your fabric for the outside of the bag. Then read the instructions that comes with your heavy iron-on interfacing. And you're going to, I can't seem to get rid of this little fuzz, but you're going to dampen this cloth and lay it on top. Now, I often keep, well actually all the time, I keep this at my ironing board. So remember, you're doing this at your ironing board, not on your cutting mat. I'm not using a hot iron for this demonstration. So I usually just spray it down or go to my sink and get it damp. But I like keeping the spray bottle because in case you're having some issues, you've got water right here and you can re-dampen your cloth. Now read those instructions because it's going to tell you how long to hold your iron on it. It can be anywhere from 10, maybe 15 seconds, depending on the brand that you're using. Now, if you're having problems getting it to stick, you probably need to pre-wash your fabric because it might have a hard time sticking on it. If you washed it and you're still having some issues, you probably just need to hold your iron on it a little bit longer. So just re-dampen any spots and hold your iron down. So you're going to hold it in one place for that number of seconds, lift, move it over to the next place, and just cover all areas. And you're doing this both on the front and the back pieces for your bag. Okay. After you've got it on, here's my lining, here's the back of the lining, here's the front of the lining. So you're going to place the back side down over your interfacing side. Then use a zigzag stitch to go along this edge and this edge. Zigzag stitch. All sewing machines have one of those, unless they're using one that I was raised with, which was older than dirt, and it did not have anything but a straight stitch. So, next thing you're going to do after you've done your zigzag stitch, here's mine. It's got the zigzag stitch on it. Now, if you have a serger machine, you can also run these two edges through a serger machine if you have one of those. Don't worry about zigzagging these two edges yet. That's going to come later. Then go to your ironing board again and turn it over, and you're going to where the lining is up and fold this edge over and again press it with your iron. Now remember, my iron's not hot. Do this at your ironing board. Press along that edge, just one of the zigzag edges. So you're doing that to both of them. All right, here's my front and back. Now take your zipper, and I want you to look closely at this zipper. There's these little ridges on each side of the plastic zipper part. And by the way, never iron over a plastic zipper. It will melt. When these first came out way back in the olden days, people were ironing over them and melting their zippers. So don't do that, all right? So save yourself a lot of heartache. But on each side of the plastic is a little ridge. Okay, I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but there's a little ridge there. So you're going to take each side of the bag and do one side at a time right now. And you're going to line it up, center it on the zipper. Remember, you have all this extra fabric. We're going to worry about trimming that off later. So line it up along that ridge, and at your sewing machine, you're going to start stitching way down here. Manually lower the needle in right here. So don't put on the power pedal. Lower it manually so you can get it right where you want it. Then lower your presser foot, and you're going to stitch real close to this edge, right along here, all the way down. Remember, use your zipper foot. You can see how close you can get that zipper foot on the edge there. Now, I have an advantage with my sewing machine. I can move my needle left, back to center, and back to the right. I can go in those 3 positions. So when you're putting on a zipper, it makes it real easy to get close to this edge. So if you have a machine with that option on it, use it. Okay, so that's going to really be helpful to you. If not, you got to get in there as close as you can without stitching over that. After you've done it along the edge here, then you're going to come back again, start down here, come over about 1/4 of an inch, and do another row of stitching all the way down. When you're done with this side, go and put this side on. Line it up accordingly and do the same thing. Stitch real close to the edge here, all the way down to the end, and then go in about 1/4 of an inch and stitch again. Once you have your zipper stitched on both sides, then it's real important you do this next step. Unzip the bag. Really, really important. Now bring front sides together, the back and the front. Bring them together. Line up your edges. And you probably, if you're having a difficult time getting it lined up, then go ahead and place some pins all along the edge if it helps you to hold it all together. Now at this point, I would leave your zipper foot on, because not only is a zipper foot good for doing zippers, but it's also good for stitching other things on, because now we're going to stitch kind of close to the very end of the zipper, not right up against it. I don't advise doing that, but I would stay back about 1/8 of an inch from the edge of the zipper here. Don't get too close. So by using your zipper foot, it's easy to stitch right along the edge. So whatever this width is from here to there is your seam allowance. But remember, don't go too close to the edge of the zipper. So measure that and then do that width all along this edge here. Alright, I've gone in and stitched my sides up, but one of the things I forgot to tell you, and I didn't realize it till I got to the sewing machine, is that when you stitch along the 2 sides, you're going to also stop and stitch along the bottom. So you would come up here, stitch straight down. When you're 1/4 inch away, leave your needle down, lift up your presser foot, and turn and continue stitching around the bag. Okay, so you are going to stitch the lower part of the bag. Now we're going to trim some of this off, because it's going to make it real difficult to use the bag with all this fabric here. So take your ruler, and here's my 1/4 inch line right here, the very first long line on your ruler. You're going to place that on your stitch line here, and you're going to do this on both sides of the bag. So lay it on there, and then with your rotary cutter, trim that off. Okay, and I've already done it on this side. I've also cut some of the fabric off on the corner. So cut some of it off here, as well as a little bit here and a little bit here. This will make it easier to get these corners to poke out. Then you're going to do your final zigzag stitch. So zigzag along here. You can go zigzag over it twice if you want to reinforce it more. But zigzag down to here, turn it, and I would do another zigzag stitch along the bottom. And then of course, after you've trimmed this side, zigzag across the last side. Then when you're done, reach inside of the bag and pull it front side out. So let's look at the finished bag here. Now I'm going to open this one. After you've opened it up and turned it right side out, open it up, And make sure you had that zipper open before you stitched your sides, otherwise you have a problem. Okay, so now you want to take something pointy and go into these corners and help poke them out. Now they're not going to be perfectly sharp corners because you've got a lot of fabric down there, but it'll be slightly rounded like this. And then you're done with your bag. Now you can make them any size you want. Now this particular video is part 1 of little zipper pouch bags. Now in the next one I'm going to show you how to use 2 or 3 zippers on the same pouch bag, and it's really easy. Now to keep informed on that video and future videos, you need to click on subscribe. There's one in the upper left hand corner, round picture of my face, then one down there in the lower right hand corner, it's red and it says subscribe. YouTube's going to prompt you for your email address, so make sure you enter that information and then click on the little bell. There'll be a little bell icon. Click on that because that way you'll for sure get notification. And once you do that, YouTube will send you a brief email the next time my next video comes out. In the middle of that email is a big button. It'll be a picture of the next video. Click on it and it takes you directly to that video. Now I'm Cheryl and I'm so glad you came to my sewing room, and I'll see you next time, and happy sewing.